Okay. Okay, can you all see my screen? Awesome. Okay. Hey everybody, welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know you can't see me, Hayden. I don't know what's going on with my camera here. I'm just gonna roll with this since you can all see my screen and hear me. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I know some of you have been Sphere users for a while. Some of you are brand new. So I just want to tell you what I'm going to do is I am going to go over a couple new features first. At this point, we have a lot of exciting stuff going on. So it's hard to get through it in an hour. So we'll talk about that as well because I'm going to start doing other kinds of webinars with this. But what I wanted to tell you is that Hayden, my partner in this, co-founder, head of development, he is on the chat and he is here to answer your specific questions. So I'm going to be going through some new features and then I'm going to be going through an overview. And in the meantime, any specific questions you have to you, any problems you're having or anything you wish it could do or just anything at all, we don't care what it is, can have nothing to do with what I'm talking about, please put it in the chat bar. He will answer them. Also, if you need a one-on-one, if you want me to, have a one-on-one with you at some point, please send your email address. Or Hayden, actually, again, if you can put your email address in there for them to reach out as well, we'll schedule that. Anyway, welcome to Sphere. Hayden, let me know if I'm forgetting anything as we go along. But the first thing I want to show you here is our new ability to send handwritten notes and GIFs to anyone you want in your database automatically. Okay. And we're having a bunch of cool new features show up with it also in the next couple releases. But anyway, let me give you an example. So I'm going to pick, let's see, you're looking at a demo account right now. I need something with an address. Okay, so let's pick Elizabeth and David and Susie. So what I did for current Sphere users, you'll know this well, and for new ones, I went to the menu here and I went to people, and I'm checking off a few. I can check off anything I want of people. I'm picking ones with addresses, and what happens is whenever you check off more than one name, what's going to happen is you're going to have like bulk actions show up at the top. Like all the people I checked, I could just change their ranks all at once or put a label on all of them at once or do whatever. So we've been kind of hiding this right now because, we're testing it. Okay. But soon it's going to be everywhere. Like you're going to not be able to miss it if you want to use it. But what happened is when I checked off more than one name, this popped up. Okay. This little icon right here, it's to send handwritten notes and gifts to selected people. If I push it, then here's what, this is the demo account. Here, I'm going to log out. I'm going to do this on my account. Okay. So here's my actual account. So I'm going to check 3 people here. Let's do that one. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to check off this one here. And here's what pops up, okay? I have 2 options, handwritten notes and GIFs. Okay, and I can decide, I don't want GIFs. I just want handwritten notes or whatever, right? You can turn everything on and off. And I can check the category. We have a ton of categories here for whatever you want to do. Let's pick real estate. Okay, so I'm going to pick real estate, and I have all these different cars to choose from. And let's see, how about, I like this one. Let's do this one. And now I get to pick my handwriting. What's my handwriting? Let's see, for me, it's just got to be something a little bit messy. I feel like, let's just do that. Okay, and I can type in here anything I want, like, congratulations, I am a robot writing this card, but you think it's actually me. Love, Ross. Okay, so I don't know if the update is here yet, but soon, if not, you will automatically be able to do a setting that will put in their first names. Now, the thing about this is, yes, it is a robot writing this, but they're writing it with a real pen. It absolutely on the envelope, on the card itself, it's like somebody wrote it. It's amazing. You can do 500 of these at a time. You can send them out. I mean, it's going to cost $4 per card. Okay, but if you think about that, that is an amazing deal because that includes postage, that includes writing it, that includes putting it in the envelope, that includes mailing it. I mean, think about how much, if you just buy a card, how much that costs plus postage. So this is amazing because so this is the iteration number one, where I can send handwritten notes to anyone I want, right? And then I can also pick a gift if I want to. And right now we have all of these Pendleton blankets and baby blankets, and we have a bottle of Dom. We've got candles, we've got flowers, we've got all this stuff that you can do that you can send along with them. Okay, the next iteration, and Hayden, correct me if this is not already there. I don't think it is. This is the next iteration, is gift cards. Okay, and we want to know from you what gift cards you would love to have. Okay. There's a ton of gift cards that basically you'll be able to check off. I want, local ice cream shop gift card or whatever, or like Starbucks or whatever you want. And it will be put in the card with you, with the note. Now, this is where it begins. Okay. But we're going to get really, really, at the moment we can do Amazon and Starbucks, but anything. I mean, we want to have, the ability to do, like, here we have this in Portland, this amazing ice cream place, Salt and Straw, Ebb and Bean. There's all these different places, and we want to be able to do that as well. But we would love to hear what you want in there. Now, this is iteration one. Let me tell you what's coming next. Okay, so next, I want the ability. To set it and forget it. Okay, I want it to say. I wanted to say that basically, like, on everyone's birthday, I want this to automatically go out and just charge my credit card. And here's what I want it to say, and just put in their first name. Or on every house anniversary, I want this to go out, and here's what I want that to say. Personally, I want to be able to do that. You're going to see lots of updates with this. So I know Dilla's saying she can't get it to work. So Hayden, you can maybe chime in with that. Hayden and I have been doing it and sending it, and it's been working just fine. So I don't know what the issue is, but we'll figure it out. So anyway, this is really, really exciting. And I the first thing I did was have them send me one of them. I wrote a little note to myself, and Hayden's been sending it to his parents, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm very excited about this. Another update I want to show you, which is really been incredible, is the ability to, here, let me log out. I want to go back to the demo account. Is what we call the intake form. Okay. And the intake form is this. So the biggest issue to me about CRMs, and that especially makes people stop using it, is their database basically just becomes a mess, right? It just, all of a sudden, you've lost track of it. You have all this, you don't even know what's right, what's wrong. You don't even know who these people are, et cetera. Trying to find ways to have my sphere actually update it themselves, right? And keep current. So here's the first iteration of this. Okay, when you go to add a new person, and again, if you anytime you need to add a new transaction or a new person, everybody in the chat bar, Hayden just shared a photo of one of the if you're able to get it, you can. If you can download that JPEG, that Hayden just shared a photo of the envelope that went to his mom, of the automatic handwritten notes. Okay, so anytime you need to add a new transaction or add a new person, you can always go up to this little plus sign at the top, right? So now if you do add people, this is what it's going to look like now, okay? All you actually need, minimum now, is first name and email. So here, like, let's say I do John, and it's john@gmail.com, all right? Let's say that's all I've got. I don't have their last name. I don't have their phone number. I can click send intake email. And over here, I can write whatever I want. There's a default thing already, but I can write whatever I want. Here it says, it was great to talk to you the other day. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you and confirm contact details. The button below will hopefully make that very easy. Really look forward to working with you. And then over here, there's all these different fields that you can turn on and off. And as time goes on, we'll make this even more customizable. This is what the email will look like when they get it. All right. And getting to know you. And if they click the button, they will then be able to put in anything they want. Now, there's awesome stuff here, like, birthdays I always want to capture. And I love when people put in their own birthday. And we're going to make it so that you don't have to put the year, because I think a lot of people don't want to put that. But favorite movies, food and drinks, favorite books, meaningful gift ideas, anything else that you want to tell us, social media, upload a photo. Now, I had no idea what people would actually do. And this has been pretty amazing. We live in a day and age, especially and of course it's in a general sense different among different generations, right? But the younger generations, happy to fill out everything possible in here. I've had people upload photos of themselves, put in all their social media links. I know so much more about them than I ever would than when I just ask them questions. They just love to type in all this stuff. And it's been really a surprise. The other thing that I've gotten from this is that it made me look super pro. I went on a listing appointment for a really high-end condo in the Pearl, and they were interviewing other agents. And afterwards, I sent them my CMA and all that. But I also said, hey, you're going to be getting an email so I can learn more about you. If feel free to fill in anything you want. You don't have to, but I send this to them. And they said, you're hired. You just looked more professional with your onboarding than anybody. And so that was a nice surprise too. I don't know how often that will be the case, but I love that it made me look that way. So these are two new amazing features I'm really excited about. The next iteration of this, by the way, because right now it only works where you can do it when you add a new person. What I want is once a year, let's say every January, to blast this out to my entire database. And just say, hey, has anything changed? Anything you want to share with me? Did you, do you have a new address? Anything new? Has your phone number changed? Whatever, and see how many people do it. I think that this will help my sphere be more engaged with me, and also have them update my CRM for me, right? Anyway, so again, I see people asking questions about how to find the gifts and the cards and everything. And I'm telling you, I promise you, we are going to make it so much more intuitive and so much more obvious how to do it all. We implemented it and then kind of hid it because we wanted to make sure it worked really well first before people started doing hundreds and hundreds of them, So we're feeling pretty good about it now. So as time goes on here, it's going to get really intuitive. I promise you. All right. So Hayden, is there anything else you wanted me to show of new features that I'm not thinking of besides the handwritten notes and the intake form? Okay, so let's do a overview of Sphere. And please, anybody that has specific questions. And do I see somebody's here from Jamaica? Now, is that Queens or is that Jamaica, the country, the island? Very cool if so. Love seeing people from all over the place, all over the world. It's so exciting. And if you are from Jamaica, I would love to know how you found us. Anyway, okay. So here's what I want to say is that I will always start the webinar now with new features. So please jump on when you want to know about new features. Secondly, I know at this point we have a lot of users who've been using this for a long time and have very specific needs. So here's how I want to address that. I'm going to start doing, and I want to know if any of you are interested in this, a webinar just about how to run your team, because I'm running a team of, there's 5 of us, 5 total. Dill's excited. Okay. And then I want to do another webinar of just advanced features, not the overview that I usually do, So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start scheduling these, and I'll probably absolute minimum, I'll do one of each of those types a month. And as my bandwidth gets, more increased, we'll do more of it. But we will, we'll get all that scheduled. So welcome to all the people, all of you who have never seen this before. Thank you for joining. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a full-time agent. I'm a principal broker. of my team. And I am obsessed with systems. I love systems. I love scaling, seeing how much I can scale my business while also having an actual life outside of real estate, and also providing concierge high level service. Okay, so that's the point of this. And I love hearing from you guys, like what you're doing with it and how you're making it happen. And, if there's a way that we can systemize that. So that's part of the reason for the handwritten notes. I believe handwritten notes are crucial. And, if I can automate that, like that would be great too. So anyway, okay, there are three main parts of Sphere. And these are the three parts that I believe in my, this is my 17th year, and I have seen, all of the agents, the high producing agents that I really admire. They're the ones that seem to not just have constant, really high level business, but they are not totally consumed by their work. They have things outside of work that they do. They have, this is I always talk about real estate as being like a monster. It's like it's just like a beast that will devour you unless you tame it. So this is how. Oh yeah, you want to know about the timeline? I'll make sure I get to that. So this is how I'm trying to tame the beast, because I want to have this huge, amazing business and this like incredibly engaged client base, and I also want to be a super present dad for my kids. And I'm a musician. I want to play music. I want to do other things. Okay, so this is how we do it. Three main parts are business planning. Second part is what I call organic lead generation, just meaning being in touch with your sphere, not online lead generation, right? You can pay Zillow to do that. You can pay whatever. There's a million platforms that do that. For those of you that are doing things like Zillow, I keep those leads out of Sphere unless I have an actual real connection with somebody there, right? So I do some Zillow. I pay for some Zillow leads. And, I just let my Zillow, their system fill up with all the useless people. And when the one out of however many becomes like a real contact that I actually have a real connection with, that's when I graduate them into Sphere. Sphere is like this is like my holy, this is like a sacred place, because I'm going to spend money, time, and energy on these people. I am not just shoving a million people in there. I think that another way to abandon your system is to just put thousands of people in there. I want to at least have some idea of who these people are when they pop up on my list here. If it's just a bunch of names I don't recognize, I'm not going to contact them. This is me personally. I know that I won't. Okay, so organic lead generation, number two. Then number three is when your business blows up, and I 100% guarantee it will if you are doing this system. I am living proof of it, but also it's not rocket science. If you if you are talking to the people in your database and making them feel that you care about them, your business will blow up. Then, how do you deal with that? It's overwhelming to have a zillion deadlines and all these pending, I currently have 18 pending transactions. And a few years ago, I couldn't have imagined managing that and not losing control, So, and I didn't start that way. 5 years ago, when I started using Sphere, I did a fraction of the business I do now, and I worked about 70 hours a week. Now I'm doing, my business has grown by 400%, and I work 40 hours a week. And yes, I also then started bringing people on to help with that. But that's a choice. You don't have to do that. You could just be like, I'm cool with this, and Sphere is allowing me to do this and this and this, and I still have a life outside of it, and I'm good. Or you could see how far you could take it, and you could bring on team members. And I love helping people do that. So let me know if you ever want to talk about it. So let's get to part number one. If you are new to Sphere, at the top right, you're going to see, it's going to say create goals. After that, I don't know if you can see on your screens if it's super small that I'm sharing my screen, but now it says edit 2021 goals. Now, when you first click this, it's going to work like a wizard. It's going to show you like one bite-sized little question at a time. Okay. Now, any of you, I don't care if you've been using Sphere forever, if you haven't done this yet, please do it right now. Just do it. It'll take you 5 minutes and it will change your life. Having a goal is absolutely crucial in real estate, or else you're just like, my goal is sell as many houses as possible. But when you do that, I'm telling you, you won't sell as many, number one. And number two, you won't, well, I can only really talk for myself. Before I was really understood what I was after, and I was just like, let's sell as many as I can. I wouldn't put the revenue where it needed to go in the way that I do now. I'm just so much more deliberate about everything, and it's changing how my whole life is going. Okay, so this is what it looks like after you've done it for the first time. Because once you do it, it's going to filter into all these. All your goals are going to show up. It's going to show you where you are for the year as the year goes on. Once you've done it already, you can always go to edit, and then it's going to look like this at that point. And it's just, you can just change all the numbers. You can go, hey Sphere, what do I have to do to make $1 million? It will tell you. All right. So here I'm going to go through it kind of fast. I'm talking fast, partially because I'm from New Jersey, and second because I want to get through a lot in a short amount of time. Whoops, dropped my pen. Anyway, here's how this works. So what I want you to do is put in what your net income goal is. That's after everything. That's after paying taxes. That's after your business expenses. That's after what you pay your brokerage. Like literally what you walk away with. Okay. So here I put 500,000. This is going to tell me what I have to do to make $500,000 a year net. Okay. 500,000. Next, tax rate. What's your tax rate? Now, this is, where someone might just get tripped up. They don't know what their tax rate is. Click see current tax rates. We put it in there and we update it and check it where you are. Okay. Next, expenses. Now, very important here. I want to tell you, this is not what you pay your brokerage. This is everything else outside of that. This is going to be any marketing you do, gifts and, mailings and just absolutely anything else you pay for. If you do online leads, if you do pay Zillow, like put that in there. Put salaries you pay an assistant, anything you just put in there. Okay. Next, split and cap. This is what you're going to put where you pay your brokerage. Okay. How much do you get of the brokerage split? Do you get all of it with with a deal, or do you have to give them 5%? If so, you'd want to put 95 there. And is there a cap? If there is a cap, put the cap there. Next, average sale price. What's your average sale price over the past 12 months? If you know, put it in there. If you don't know, guess. If you are a brand new agent and really have no idea because you don't have enough business, put the average price of the area that you're selling in. Okay, so here in Portland, it's like in the mid fives. Okay, so here we put 556. Once you're using Sphere, it's going to tell, you're going to know at all times. You're going to know all your numbers. You're going to have such control over your business. It's a virtual assistant. It's a virtual CEO. You're going to know everything about where you're at and what your average sales are and your average commission. Here, speaking of average commission, I want you to put that here. It's funny, this one's super specific, and it's because of the team functionality that I've got. But basically, what I want you to put there is if you're here in Portland, we're usually getting on a side 2.5% and sometimes 3%, depending on, buyer or seller or what you're doing for, what your contract says with your seller. But if that's the case, then I'm telling most people, put 2.7, if you know what it is, put it in there. If you don't know, just put like 2.7 or whatever is normal for your area. Mine says 2.43, and that's because I have all of these different splits with people on my team. Okay, so what Sphere does is it aggregates it all and lets me know, hey, after all said and done, after you're paying everybody, the average commission that you're getting on a sale is this. And so that's why I put it in. Because after using Sphere for a while, it's giving you all the answers to this for next year. And yes, I do this every year. This is my business planning for every year, and it takes me 5 to 10 minutes instead of like agonizing over it and trying to figure it all out. This just does it for me in 5 to 10 minutes. Next is referrals. How many conversations do you need to have with clients or other contacts to get one new referral? If you know, put it in. If you don't, I want you to put the number 10. Next, roughly how many referrals do you need to get one new closed deal? If you know, put it in. If you don't, I want you to put the number 2. Next, retirement savings and annual giving. This is optional. I highly recommend you do it though. Especially retirement, because agents are notoriously do not plan for retirement. They're just like, I'll just sell more houses, or like, it's like we have this abundant, most of us, or many of us, I don't say most of us, Many of us have a very like abundance mindset, right? So it's like, oh no, I still have time. I'll sell a bunch of houses. I believe you must aggressively plan for and save for retirement, especially as an agent, because otherwise it will not happen. So put a number there, and it will be in your face on your dashboard every day. Next, do you have a goal to give to charity or a cause or something? The foundation at your company, whatever it is, put it in there as well. Now you hit save. This will go through all the numbers, your averages, your expenses, and it will tell you here's what you have to do to make $500,000 a year. Okay. So to make 500,000 with my average sale price and all this kind of stuff, I have to do 45 million. Remember, 500,000 is net. Okay. So all the expenses on top of it, this is a lot. To do that, I have to do 80 transactions in a year. To do that, I have to do 14 referrals per month. And to do that, I have to have 7 conversations per day. Now, I don't want everyone to just bail at once after they see this. Some of you are doing a ton of this, or this is your goal. This was not my goal until my 5th year of doing this. There are usually what I see is the business plans are telling people to do 3 conversations per day. The average that I see are people putting in like 200 grand. I want to make 200 grand, or I want to do this, or I want to do 30 transactions, or whatever it is. I have a big team, and so I'm doing a lot of calls every day. And so basically, this is my business plan, right? 7 conversations per day. Now I can ignore the rest of this all year, and I can just focus on this. So what does this mean? I'm gonna do another one, and just let's see what happens if I do 250. Okay, now it's to 5. I just want to experiment with something, and I put huge business expenses. So let's put like 50 grand. This is more of what I usually see. Okay, there we go. Let's keep it to that for a second. So 3 conversations per day. Now, watch what happens when I go to the dashboard. Now, when I go to the dashboard, this is showing, this is a demo account, but they modeled it after mine. So now I kind of screwed it up by putting the goal. But anyway, here's the point, is that what's going to happen is it's going to show the goals here, right? It's going to show where I am in the year to reach that goal. It's going to show my pipeline of transactions. And as I go down here on the bottom left, it's showing, actually, Hayden, we should change this. Instead of goal statistics, it should say like business plan or something like that. Because here's my plan. Okay. And actually there's another, what was the other figure? Referrals per month, conversations per day, annual transaction goal. Oh, volume. We should add that one too. But basically this is always there. Okay. And I can ignore everything. I can go, this is my real goal, 3 conversations per day. Now, part of the calculation is business days. So it's something like 23 days per month is how this is calculated, because I want everyone to, or at least I personally want to have a goal to have 2 days off a week. Of course, I'm not really there at the moment, but that's my dream. So I at least want to like kind of behave like it is, right, in my business plan, so I can get closer and closer to getting to that actual reality. So what happens is 3 conversations per business day. Now, here's my point, okay? Here's how powerful this is. Let's say you're having 3 per day. Now you can talk to 3 people per day. And one of the things I want to tell you is that in 2021, this does not have to be a phone call. Like here it says make a call, but it doesn't have to be a call. It has to be a meaningful interaction. So that could be a text conversation. You could have an awesome text conversation with somebody. Usually that's the main way I'm getting anyone to ever talk to me in this scenario, is I text them something. I passed their house and saw you installed a fence. That's super awesome. How are you? Blah, 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 coming up with some reason just to talk to them. People ask me a lot of questions about this. I want to just touch on it for a second and say that I'm not making sales calls personally. I'm not using scripts. I'm not making sales calls. I believe that if these people think I care about them, they will refer me. And they almost always eventually ask me about the market because they know what I do. Real estate is entertainment. That's why there's an entire TV network for it. It's entertainment, and also it's in the news constantly right now, as you all know. So everyone eventually always asks me, and then I find a way to really sort of authentically, touch on like, hey, like I've got room to help people. So, if you know anyone, I'd love to help them, etc. But yeah, like people are like, oh, I don't want to call people. You know what? I don't answer the phone when people call me unless I think it's a current client or it's a potential client. Otherwise, my friends are texting me. So I kind of feel like that's another part of it. In a weird way, I believe that texting is more intimate than calling now, because the only people ever calling me are usually business things, right? But the people who text me are the people that know me. So I feel like when I text my clients, it's like it's actually like more of an intimate thing, which is super cool, because I'm way happier doing that. And then sometimes it's able then to turn into a phone conversation, especially if they start talking about selling or whatever. Okay, here's what I want to get to. 3 conversations per day. Sphere takes the prep out of figuring out who to call, because that's going to take you another hour in the morning of like agonizing over who to call, right? So that just takes it out of there for you. Every day, 6 names are going to show up on this. It says to-do list. We're probably going to change that to like follow-up list. But this has 6 names. So instead of going over your database of hundreds and hundreds and who do I call and what did we talk about last time, now you just have 6, right? Try to get in a meaningful conversation with 3 out of 6. Now let's say I talk to Rebecca here. I will then check this off, and up will come this, which is basically saying, what'd you talk about? And I can put in here what we talked about. And let's say I talk about wants to sell in 6 months. Cool. Okay, now if I hit save right now, it's going to go on their profile, and it's going to say the date and the time, and a note that I said we had a call and that they want to sell in 6 months. So I can look at that at any time, or anyone on my team can look at it and know exactly what the last communication was and what we talked about. Well, if they're going to sell in 6 months, I probably want to schedule a follow-up reminder, which I can do right here. And I pick the date. Now, Sphere will links with your Google or Microsoft calendar and or email. So if I've synced it in settings with my calendar, then once I do this and I hit save, this note will go on their profile, and this will show up on my calendar, and it will say, hey, call Rebecca or contact Rebecca. And for whatever date, and let's say I'm like, oh, if they want to sell in 6 months, let's just check in a month and just be like, hey, how's it going? You want to talk more about like preparing, or do you want me to come see your house or whatever? Sphere becomes my other brain for real estate. I have a huge mental load. We all do. And I basically wake up in the morning and I do what Sphere tells me to do, or what it's put on my calendar. And half the time I don't remember why I have to call Rebecca, but then I just go look at her profile. I'm like, oh yeah, I see. I remember now. Cool. Hey, Rebecca, like blah, 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 blah. And so I remember everything thanks to Sphere. Now, once I've done that, you'll notice that there's a line through it. It doesn't disappear and regenerate with a new name. That's because there's a couple reasons for it. So, and I'll get into it. But tomorrow, if I don't talk to anyone else, tomorrow, this name will regenerate to a new name, and these will stay the same because I haven't talked to them. Okay? Now, why don't we just regenerate it now? And it's actually to deal with my own tendencies towards workaholism. So I'm sort of joking, half. Really, what I want Sphere to do is to also give me a sense of like, dude, you killed it today. You did such high level, you did so much in the first couple hours in the morning, and you're done. And like, so now you can deal with like other things in your business, or you know what? Like if you want to go take the rest of the day off, like good for you. You just did more meaningful activity to move the needle in your business than just about every other realtor, because people are not doing this. We all know that this is what we're supposed to do, but people would rather shovel 10 grand a month towards Zillow than just talk to the people in their database, which is always like, they're always so happy to hear from you, that it also makes you love your job even more. So, if we do it in little bite-sized chunks, it's no big deal. Hayden had just, he just put in the chat, where is it? What was it that three a day ends up being 360 360 connections in a year. You're telling me that 360 people who feel like you actually like you just checked in with them, just saying hi, you're connected to them. When either they need to buy or sell, or they have a friend who mentions it, they're not going to be like, oh my god, you gotta talk to my friend. But I have a realtor friend. Like, here's who it is. 360 calls year to date, everyone. That's just this point in the year. Multiply that by 2. I mean, of course your business is going to blow up. So what happens when it does? How do you deal with it? How do you deal with being totally overwhelmed because you are just like, your phone is ringing off the hook now? Because this is sort of like the power of compound interest. That's how I feel about it. The first couple of months, like, yeah, maybe you'll get some business from doing that, but like maybe you won't. But like 6 months in, all of a sudden it's like a faucet turns on and you just can't deal with all the calls coming in. It's awesome. And how much did you pay for it? You didn't. You didn't pay Zillow for it. And they didn't just push a button and like be like, oh, who am I talking to? They're people who are loyal to you and will do it, already trust you and will do what you say. It's wonderful. So let's go over that. So that brings us up to the top here, which is transactions. So I'm going to go a little bit faster this because I want to really get into the timeline aspect of Sphere, because that has changed my life. And even made my, simultaneously, this is what I want. I want this amazing alchemy of me working less while simultaneously somehow my client feels even more connected to and more engaged and more in control, right? Those two things can happen at the same time, which to me are like, it's like absolutely magical and impossible. Then it's just like the greatest thing. And the timeline does that. So I'm going to get to it. So let's look at pending over here. So I'm going to click pending, and this is what comes up. So this is my virtual whiteboard, right? And this is pending. And if you look at the top here, you'll see there's different categories. There's, all of, just to see everything. People really only click this if they want to print out a page of it and give it out to their team or something. But of course, your team should all be logging in too, right? Then there's potential transactions, active, listed, pending, closed, and got away. If you want to track anybody who, if you want to track any like potentials that you didn't get. So we're going to talk about what each of these are, but I just want to show you the categories for a second. There's closing date. Okay. And this will always sort by closing date when you look at this. There's the inspection period deadline. There is the date of mutual acceptance of the contract. So, when the timeline started. There's the date of possession. This is so different frequently right now in this market for us here in Portland from the actual close date that we actually made a column for it. Next is who are the people, who are the buyers or sellers, and if you click their name, it's going to go to their, to their profile. Next, are they a buyer or seller? Next, what's the address? And if I click this, it's going to open Google Maps and show me where it is. And if I'm doing this on a mobile device, it's going to give me driving directions. And then labels. Now labels, I've given everybody my library of labels and also my checklist. I give everybody my whole business on Sphere. And then of course, if you don't have to do it the way I do it, you go into settings and you can go to transaction and change everything. There's checklists in there. You can modify what I've given you, or you can change it. But with labels, here's the edit page for labels right over here. You can create a label in the moment. Right here we have radon 0.6, or we've created my team has created a bunch of them just so that we see everything on this overview. So on people page, you can in the moment create any label you want. So you can put labels on people, you can put labels on transactions, etc. Next, sale price. Okay, sale price it's pending at. Next is AGI, adjusted gross income. So this is after fees, what you're going to make when it closes. And on the edit page, I'll show you what it looks like really fast. But this is the edit page. And you can put in all the fees right here, right? Now, if you do have a team and your team has their own accounts, agent accounts that you're linked to, et cetera, then what happens is they will see what they're making, not what you're making. Okay, so on AGI, when they log in, they see what they're making. And again, just reach out to us for a one-on-one if you want me to set this up for your team the way you work with your team. So I want to just quickly talk about, before I get to the timeline, I want to talk about what these categories mean to me. Okay. And you can use them any way you want, of course, but I'm going to show you what they mean to me. Pending is obvious. We are pending. Okay. But potential, what does potential mean? So to me, if anybody, here's what I put in potential. If anybody even loosely talks about, if anybody even loosely talks about buying or selling, I don't just put them in my database if they're not already there. I create a transaction right away. Okay. And I put in when I think they might list, or, are they a buyer or seller? What's the address? What do I think they will buy or sell at? I sometimes put in sale price. I put, if it's a buyer, I put what they're approved to, and then I figure out the fees, and I go, okay, well, if that happens, if they use me, and if they do this, then this is what I'll make, right? And the other thing that's cool about this is at the bottom I can go, wow, I've talked to 16 million in volume worth of business. Like, this becomes my super, super hot list. Okay. Oh yeah, but I wanted to tell you who else I put in here. So I put in here, if anyone even loosely says they might buy or sell. Also, I go on a listing appointment. They're interviewing 3 agents. I don't know if they're going to hire me. Bam, I go home, I make this, or do it on my phone right there, whatever. I make a transaction. Same thing with buyers. They're interviewing agents. I don't know if they're going to use me yet. This is what I do. Once they actually hire me, I move them to active. Okay. So once they actually hire me, so these are people who've actually hired me. This isn't real. This is a demo account, but you get the idea. If it's a seller, for me, all that means is they've signed the listing contract, but we're not on the market yet. For a buyer, they've either signed a buyer broker agreement, or I just, we've had the conversation and I feel good enough to put them in active. Now, once a seller is actually on the market, I move them to listed. I changed. So we used to not have this listed category. And what I was doing was I was putting labels saying, okay, these 5 sellers have signed their contract and these 2 are actually on the market. But now I really wanted to just hit a button and just see the ones that were listed actually on the market. So we have that. So I break it out that way. Then they're pending. And then when they're closed, they're closed. And this is year to date, right? And what's amazing about Sphere is that what's amazing is that what I could do is I can, once you're using Sphere for years, you can go on the calendar and go like, oh, what happened in 2020? Oh, these are all the sales I had in 2020. And, you can always touch the plus sign over here to just get a quick drop down of all the details and all the checklists and all the people involved. And I can now go back to 2017 and I can go, I know on my phone at all times, every single person who I worked with, what happened, what the details were. I have a full business history on my phone that is not owned by my brokerage. If I leave my brokerage, nothing changes for me. I don't lose all my data. The other thing I want to show you about this is there's a document archive. So on this demo account, we don't have it, but when a sale closes, we use SkySlope at my brokerage. I then download as a PDF all the documents from SkySlope at the end of the transaction, and I shove it in here for my own archive, right? And so I now have 5 years of every document, every person involved, every detail of the transaction at the touch of a button. And I'm hoping that one day it helps me sell my business, right? I don't know when, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Okay, next what I want to show you is the timeline. All right, so the timeline has been totally game-changing for me. When you're in transactions, as long as you're out of potential, as long as you've moved it to active, you are going to have the ability to create a timeline. So there's 2 ways to get to the edit page. One is just click the address. The other one is click that little edit icon. So I'm going to click the edit icon. You'll notice at the top, there's a few things. There's transaction timeline. I'm going to click that and it's going to say, awesome, would you like to create a transaction timeline for your client? Yes, I would. Now, these are all the people that I already have loaded up in the transaction as being involved in this. Let's just check them all, right? If I check them all right now and I click yes, they are all going to get an email right now that says, hey, click here for the timeline. This will show you everything that's going on in the transaction, blah, 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 blah. Actually, here's what the email looks like. Preview email. Hi, Hayden. The button above links to a transaction timeline for the sale of blah, blah, blah. The timeline will be updated as milestones are crossed. Congratulations, right? This is what they'll get. And if they click this, they'll get to the timeline. These are all fake people because this is a So I'm just going to click yes. Okay. Once you've clicked yes and that thing exists, and again, if you don't want them to get that email, you just uncheck them. They're still on the, this is what it looks like. I'm going to click this right here, and I'm going to show you how to like adjust it. So I don't have any. This is a demo, so I don't have any. Here, I'm gonna go to my actual account for this. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go to a pending one. That's what I'm gonna do. Will that one maybe have? Let's go to a pending one. Okay. Let's create a transaction timeline. Yes. Here we go. Okay. So here's what it looks like. So first of all, I want all of you to know that you can what you can do is you can upload your own logo here. I haven't done it. Well, this is a demo account, but you can upload your own logo. So this is totally white labeled to you. Looks super awesome when you do it. And what it's going to do is going to show you the address. Okay. And this looks awesome on your phone. And I'm going to talk to you about that because you want your clients to bookmark this on their phone. It shows on the map where it is. And then under here, it shows every detail that you decide that you want to be on there. Okay. And I'll show you how to do it. And it shows date and time of each thing if you want a date and time. And then here are other details of the sale. And then over here, any documents that you want to be available to them here, and you can control what documents they can see or not on here or download, et cetera. Or if they need to send you documents, they can send it to you through here. I had somebody send me a tank DEQ, oil tank DEQ certification, decommissioning certification this way. They're just like, I'll just upload it. I'll just drag and drop it here. So you can have that. Next, parties involved. You have total control over who shows up here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to change all the stuff on here. But first, what I want to tell you is how I use it. Okay. When I have a seller, once they sign the listing agreement, I send them this immediately. And I have on here, sign being installed, photography scheduled, staging being installed, whatever, virtual tour being done, target on market date, like all I have. And I say to them, bookmark this on your phone. This is your plan. This is your, the plan of your sale. This is the whole thing. And you can always call me. But if you're wondering like, oh wait, when is this happening? Like you can always click here and have a portal into your own transaction. My phone calls have dropped by like 2/3. It's amazing. It actually unnerved me a little bit in the beginning because I'm like, oh my God, I'm not, except for my weekly check-in or whatever, I'm not really talking to these people. And then my reviews were stellar at the end of the sale. And I realized, why they're not calling me? Because they're not freaked out. They're not full of anxiety. They feel like they know what's going on. They have control over their transaction. They click this thing, they know what's happening. If they have a question beyond it, they call me. But like, it seemed like everyone's anxiety level dropped once they had a portal into their own transaction. When I have a buyer, I don't send this to them until we're pending. We go pending, and then I'll send them an email that's like, hey, congratulations. And I'll hyperlink this to the word here, and I'll be like, click here for the transaction timeline, unless you want to just have them get the automatic email from this. I usually like to do it in my own email. And I say, hey, bookmark this on your phone, bookmark it on your laptop. And, I say the same spiel that I do about sellers. And same thing, my phone calls are a lot less with like the, kind of like the in the weeds stuff. Now, why is that important to me besides, just that it's great and that the seller is feeling even more secure? But the other reason is because what do I want to do with my time? I want to be making those other calls and those other connections to my database, right? To bring in new business in the future. If I am in the weeds too much all day, like that's all I ever get to. Right. So what I try to do is I try to knock out that important lead generation stuff in the morning, before noon. I want that done before noon. So I have the rest of the day to go on listing appointments or whatever. And this timeline has greatly helped me do that. Let me show you how to manipulate it. So when you go to the edit page on a transaction, if you go down, scroll down towards the bottom, you'll see here's contract details, right? And you have settings too. And in the settings, you can decide what fields you want to be there. Default, and you can create any field you want, but you don't just have to do it there. You can do it in the moment. You can do it right here, add new. Okay, now new update. You can now send milestone emails for anything you want or not. Okay, so let me talk about that for a second. What you can do here is like, let's say it's a buyer. Okay, I get my we go pending. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put in all the details of the contract, and I'm going to decide which ones I want to show up on the timeline with this checkbox. And then I'm going to decide if I want any of these to get an email update once they've occurred, right? So let's say I check off that inspection period's over. If I have that, once it ends, everyone that I decide who can get an email will get an automatic email saying, "Hey, congratulations, inspection period is over." Or earnest money's been deposited or whatever. So this is other ways of contacting people without me having to contact them. So here I'll put in everything, right? Towards the bottom, this is all the people that are involved, right? And I just right here can put in what they do, or add a new type of person, or who they are, company, and here again I can decide if I want them to get those emails or not, and if I want their contact info to show up on the timeline, right? So I have total control over what shows up on this timeline, who shows up, who gets emails, who doesn't. Okay. One other thing I want to show you here is we have integrated with SkySlope. We're trying to eliminate double entry, triple entry, because you guys are all having to put the same details into so many things, right? So if you're using SkySlope at your brokerage, do this first. Put everything in Sphere first. Then go up to the top and click Add to SkySlope. Okay. And this will create your file on SkySlope as well as all of the details you put in here. So you don't have to do it twice. Another new feature, actually, Hayden, I forgot to talk about, is send to escrow. Okay, so we are now trying to automate, for those of you who are opening escrow, that you can just push the button here. I'm going to answer a question from John here, and then I'm going to talk about the send to escrow button. So John is saying, what is best practice for when to initiate the transaction timeline email? Well, John, I like to do it with a seller as soon as they sign the listing agreement. I create their plan, right? It's because down here, if you look at some of the fields, I put in staging, sign install, Matterport, video, photography, whatever. And I put all that stuff in, like what the plan is. And if the plan changes, I change it in here. And I send it right away and I go, here's your plan. And they just feel like what's cool is still, there's millions of realtors. Well, millions of people are not yet aware of Sphere. Very few are in every market. So like you're one of the few people in your market, if you're using this, who are offering this to a client, a portal into their own transaction. Between this and the intake form, I'm looking super pro to my clients. So I think you should all be doing this. With a buyer, I do it once they go pending. So once they go pending is when I do it. And then I go, here's all your stuff and bookmark this on your phone and all that kind of stuff. But, with sellers, I do it right away because I like to go, here's your plan. Okay. So send to escrow. So, check it out. Like, let's say this is my seller and I'm going to open escrow. I click open escrow and it's going to go, which company? I'll be like, oh, I'm opening with WFG. Cool. Now the demand draft, because you've already got all the data in there, the demand draft is already uploaded. And once you have this stuff, this will be automatically uploaded as well. Or can you add it? Yep. Or you can add it. Or if it's already in there, you can just go and pick it. So, and then when you hit send, you're saying who you want it to go to. And this is email. I think we're going to do a lot of updates to this, so it's even more intuitive, just like everything else we do. This is just the first iteration of it. But yeah, Hayden, I wouldn't have necessarily known to put email here. Like it says, type slowly for email suggestions. But yeah, basically you email escrow, lender, and then the subject, you could write like open escrow for whatever. And all the documents and all the data and everything is going to go to them to open escrow. So you shouldn't have to like do a bunch of other stuff anymore for that. So that is, we've just gone over a ton. We went over handwritten notes, intake form, open escrow, timeline, the basics of the 3 parts of Sphere. I know that I'm trying to bust through so much info in one webinar all the time. Please let me know. Here, I'm going to give you my email as well. But let me know if you need a one-on-one. I'm definitely going to be setting up a webinar on just how to set it up for your team. But if you want me to set it up for your team with you, I'm happy to do that. We're also going to do sort of like advanced stuff, or just maybe just a Q&A session for an hour. But thank you all for joining. Are there any final questions before I log off? Please type it in the chat bar. Deleting customized items on the timeline. So do you mean like if you've created a, it's a good question, Hayden, if it's what I think it is. Like if you've created one of these fields here, like how to get rid of it. Like let's say you accidentally typed in something that you didn't mean to or something. Is that what you mean, Jessica? If you don't fill in a field, it won't show up. Oh yeah. Dale, any way to remove someone from your team? Yeah, you just go to team over here, and your whole team will be right here, right? And you can just get rid of the permissions, or if you set up the account, it should say manage account, and you could just delete the account or cut them off. But Jessica, back to you. Do you mean like how do you delete these fields here? Because right now you can't, but so it shows up every time, and I need to uncheck it, but it's still there. I end up having to scroll lots, as certain clients want very customized items. Interesting. Oh, okay. So check this out, Jessica. I want you to try this, see if this solves your question, okay? So if you go to the top here, there's settings. All right, so these are default transaction contact fields. So here you can turn them off. You can, what can you do? Edit. I don't think you can delete these, but you can turn them off so that they don't default show up anymore. Yeah, so Jessica, if you've created a custom thing and you want it off, you don't want it to show up automatically when you create a new timeline, just do that, because this is the default. And yeah, Hayden, we probably should create an ability to delete ones here entirely. I mean, even if you just do a typo when you create a field, you'd be stuck with it. Awesome. Yay. I love when we already have the answer. Awesome. Okay. Is there a way of integrating contacts from Google Contacts? Yes. And syncing Sphere with the same manner as, oh, no. I got to tell you, John, we've avoided that because Contactually did that a lot. And if it's constantly doing that, you frequently end up with a ton of, you end up with just thousands of people in your database who you end up not knowing or caring who they are. So I've been really careful to not have it automatically sync. Here's the question I do have though is, hey, Hayden, do you know if I go to people, what happens? Let's say I've already imported all my contacts from Google. If I go to import and I do it again, is it going to bring in all of my? I'm sorry, Hayden. You're saying you can do it though. Are you talking about John's question? Oh, all right. I am wrong. We can do it now, but you need to do it through the Sphere mobile app. New feature. Okay. Wow, I didn't know you could do it. Cool. Um, so everybody, to get the Sphere mobile app, which now has different features that are even more for mobile devices, uh, when you go into like the the iPhone store, the Apple, the App Store, what you need to do is you need to type in search for Sphere real estate. There's so many things called Sphere. There's like 1,000 video games called Sphere. You'll never find it. Type in Sphere real estate and then you'll see it. And I need to go in it because apparently I don't even know what it does now. Or click on the link on the bottom of the. Oh yeah, okay. Or you can go. I'll show you to the bottom of the landing page. Mutesphere.com. Dill, I haven't even used it lately, so you know more about it than I do. I love that. Oh, down here at the bottom, download on the App Store or get on Google Play. Yeah, it's on a couple of places. See, what do I know? What do I know, guys? I don't know what I'm doing. Cool. All right, well, I'm going to sign off. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thanks, John. And thanks, Dill. And thanks, everybody. And I would totally love, Jessica, I still want to know, are you in Jamaica, Jamaica? So cool. How did you find Sphere, Jessica? Hayden, I think we should go there just like to do a in-person Sphere training session as just as a just entirely as an excuse to go to Jamaica. Market research. Yep, we need to market research in Jamaica, definitely. Oh, awesome. Cool. Chris and Jason Anderson. So cool. Awesome. Yes, please let us know if this works and if there's anything, any idiosyncrasies that of Sphere that don't work well in Jamaica, so we can work it out. Um, please spread the word in Jamaica so that we really can justify flying out there to to do a training. Um, okay, all right, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you all again, and and we're gonna do some other webinars so that we do all different levels. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.